Hello and welcome to Christ Lutheran Church's video looking at the power of baptism. Baptism has real power. Think about power in your home. You might plug a lamp into an electrical socket in the wall so that the lamp can light up. But of course, the only reason that the lamp can light up is because there is power coming out of that outlet. That there's something going on behind the walls so that power was able to come in and then bring power into the lamp so that it would work. Where does the power come from for baptism? Because think about what baptism does. As it says in Galatians 3, all of you who were baptized into Christ have clothed yourselves with Christ. Wow. We can actually stand before God wearing the perfection of Jesus, so that God doesn't see the sins that have been covered up. We have that amazing security, that status, because we're baptized. All of you who were baptized into Christ have clothed yourselves with Christ. But does this just sound nice and pretty and helpful for our souls, but not really have any power behind it? Oh, it has real power behind it. Think about what's going on in baptism. So we're thinking about the actual moment of a baptism and the place where it happens. At a baptism, where is the power coming from? Is it coming from the minister who is administering baptism? Well, if that were the case, then later on, as you're thinking back to your baptism and hoping to get some security for your soul from it, you'd wonder if that minister were really holy enough. How holy does he need to be? Or how about the person who brings themselves to be baptized? Is the power in them? They brought themselves there, and they want to be baptized. So is the power in that desire of theirs? Well, then you'd wonder later on if you really desired it enough. Remember that our salvation that comes to us through baptism is an arrow down. It's something that God is doing for us. It's not what we do for God. Going back to that scene of the baptism, does the power come from the person who brings someone else to be baptized and supports them in that? You think of when little ones get baptized. The parents bring them there. So is the power in the parents or just in anyone who brings that baptized person forward? Well, then you'd wonder if that person really had the right intentions. Is the power in the water and that special way that it's poured out? As though you need to follow some sort of magical incantation and, wave your wand a specific way so that the magic happens. Well, then you'd wonder if that happened perfectly the way that God wanted it to in baptism. You see, none of these things actually make us feel that secure about baptism. So we might wonder if it's getting power from the minister. That doesn't work. Is it getting power from the person being baptized? No. Is the power coming from someone else who brings that baptized person to be baptized? No. Does it come from the water or some magical way of pouring the water on? No. Baptism doesn't get power from any of these things. But there is a source of power for baptism. We just haven't explored it yet. It's actually about the words that the minister says as the baptism happens. Maybe you've witnessed a baptism before, and you've heard the pastor say something like, "I baptize you in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit." Why do we do that? It's actually because that's how Jesus talked about it. At the very end of Matthew's Gospel, Jesus said, "Go and make disciples of all nations." And then he said one of the parts of that whole process of making disciples is baptizing. Baptizing them, Jesus said. And that's why we do it, because Jesus told us to baptize. But Jesus didn't just say baptize, as in, put some water on them. He said baptize in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. It's not that God gets baptized in our name, as in we get to make some claim to God as being ours. No, it's the other way around. In baptism, God is making a claim on us. He's putting his name on us. The amazing three-person God that we have wants that powerful name to be on us. It's like if you get a new last name. It's like if you've been adopted and you have these adoption papers and you wonder, okay, am I really adopted? How can I know that I really have a place in this new family that has adopted me and brought me out of the difficult situation I was in? Well, you can know that you're adopted because God signed the adoption papers. He put his name on it. That's what baptism is. It's God putting his name on you so that you can know that you are his. One more point with that. In Matthew 16, it says, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed. All those things had to happen. And on the third day, be raised to life. Jesus explained that. He said, this is what is going to happen. And you can expect it to go exactly as I've said, because I promise it. Not only will I die, but I'll also rise again. So when Jesus came out of the tomb and appeared to people alive again, it proved that he was faithful to his promise to die and rise again. He truly could do the crazy big thing that he said that he would do. And so when God promises to do a crazy big thing like adopt you into his family in baptism, there is incredible power there because God himself promised it. So what gives power to baptism? The promise of adoption that God makes to us precisely at our baptism. And so, if you were to doubt the power of your baptism and think that it's just some nice thing that we do at church and it doesn't have any actual supernatural power behind it, do you realize what you'd be doing? If you doubted that or denied it, you'd be saying that God lied. But he didn't, did he? Because God tells the truth. And he even makes promises to us that he will always keep. What gives power to baptism? The promise of adoption that God makes to us precisely at our baptism. Here's your home activity. Read Titus chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. In these verses, the Apostle Paul describes Pastor Titus's hearers. And then a couple questions to ask yourself after you read those verses. First, what kind of people did Titus minister to? And secondly, how would Paul's teaching about baptism in verses 4 through 7 have helped these people? That's all for this time. God bless.